Hi and welcome to another special episode of The Bottom Line. We'll be discussing CES 2019 and interesting stuff we saw in the first couple of days of CES. So we are into 2 days of CES. And we'll be focusing not on everything. So CES is the consumer electronics show. So most of what is showcased and the interesting stuff is not really part of what we do. But a few things are. So we had a few PC component manufacturers putting out some new stuff, so we'll take a look at a few things. So we won't be talking about laptops and displays. So we'll have, once CES is done, we'll take a look at everything that was released and we'll have a couple of roundups. So out of the first 2 days, we did see a few interesting things. So let's get down to it. First of all, Intel. They are still in the process of announcing that 10 nanometer.
Yeah.
It's turned into one of those jokes.
Has it been 10 years? I don't know, since they put out 14 nanometer. They're 5-6 years running. Industry sources have told us that they're hoping to launch the 10 nanometer products by the end of the year, or at least announce it. But they've
they've announced, saying that they're coming.
Okay.
Somewhere later in the year.
Oh, they have, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it's one more step, I guess.
I mean, they've now committed. Have they committed a date or the time period? Okay, so then they technically haven't really committed then. They've just named it. They've named it Ice Lake, which is, I believe, the successor to Whiskey Lake was their mobile platform.
Whiskey Lake was their mobile platform.
So it's a successor to just KB Lake.
KB Lake.
And did anything come after KB Lake? This is a new one, Cannon Lake, right?
Cannon Lake, yes.
Alright, so not like any of this matters, but it's called Ice Lake, yes. And it'll come when it comes. So it'll have integrated support for Thunderbolt
and Wi-Fi,
which I think they already have in their current. So, but expect Thunderbolt and Wi-Fi connectivity to be standard on hopefully the next high-end chipset, which would be like a EZ. What will it be?
What?
No, I think AMD has already got the Z470.
Z470.
Yeah, it'll probably be Z570, Z590. It'll be something confusing. So, but it's coming out though. They did announce it. So what CES tends to be is it's not as cool as Computex in that.
It's not like physical products.
Yeah, very rare.
Cool
there were a few, but it's just announcements.
So this is what we'll be doing this year. What to expect later in the year. They also announced Project Athena, which is essentially evolution of the Ultrabook. So the Ultrabook spec was, I think, first introduced around 2012.
Yeah, just around the time we started Redline.
Yeah, 2011-12 range.
A lot of people don't know that Ultrabook, the standard, was actually developed by Intel.
Yes.
A lot of you.
The Ultrabook is something by Intel.
It was coined, it's patented, and it's Intel's push to make laptops thinner.
Yeah, so
props to them. They did an amazing job.
So I think they had a weight target, they had a battery life target, they had a thickness target. And they also had a performance target of some sort. So that's why the low end weren't really called Ultrabooks.
So nowadays, pretty much, I would say more than 50% of laptops you find are Ultrabook standard.
Yeah.
And it's all thanks to Intel, because up until Ultrabooks came along, I think, if any of you remember buying a laptop before 2010, if it wasn't a MacBook, it was pretty thin. So it was pretty good.
So this is essentially the next step of that. I think what this says is Huawei, Dell, HP, Asus, Lenovo, they're all on board with this project.
Okay.
So
now what's interesting, which because we just went over it, it's the fact that you already now they have Huawei there, which you might have noticed the Mate X and the MateBook Pro, great laptops, and the MateBook X, and they've released a new MateBook 13 also. Exactly. So it's interesting that they mentioned that name, because what they're trying to point out is that they're trying to point out that these manufacturers are currently putting out some of the world's thinnest laptops, right? You've got the XPS from Dell, you've got the HP Spectres, you've got the Huawei MateBooks, and so on and so forth, like the Lenovo Yogas. And these are, if you've bought one from us, or if you're using one, or if you've ever seen them, you know that these are already extremely thin and light laptops. These are already taking what we consider what laptops are to the extreme. And so Intel are trying to partner with these brands and make it even thinner. It's pretty interesting to see what they're aiming
at. Let's see how this goes. I actually want to see products coming out of this program. I really want to see how these go. So, all right. So moving on. What else? Nvidia, my new favorite. We have more Intel news. Hold on.
So at CES they announced the remaining lineup of their 9 series processors.
Yeah. So 9 series we have like one i9 processor and one i7 processor that was announced earlier.
And they had, weirdly enough, they actually had a 9400 also that was announced.
9600K also was announced.
And the 9400 was announced in between. It was there before. Like the 9400 has been with system builders. Like
it's available for
it's available, so it's weird. But again, what we said before stands. Besides the 9700 and the 9900K, everything else is pretty much like 100, 200 megahertz bump over the current 8 series processors. No more cores, no more threads, no more cache. It's the exact same thing. So nothing to get excited about. It's more like a renaming from Intel because they aren't technically new processors. They are Kaby Lake processors, right?
They technically force you to buy a new motherboard.
Do they? Do they not work on? Oh, they don't. Oh, yeah. This is Intel telling you buy the new 9 series processor. Then you kind of have to buy the Z370. The funny thing is that a lot of overclockers have actually managed to get 8th or rather 9th gen processors like the 9900K, 9700K working on Z270 and Z170.
Yes.
There was actually an overclocker who got the 9900K or the 9700K.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's a very famous overclocker. He got it overclocked. He got the 9700K overclocked to over 6 gigahertz or 5.5 on an Z170 motherboard, right? And I thought I read it wrong, but apparently with a few BIOS hacks and because apparently the socket is obviously the same. Some of you know this, and they could have
Intel's whole story about like power delivery not being enough.
Utter crap apparently, because they clearly got like probably the highest overclock on 2 generation old motherboards. So it's Intel being Intel. And they're going to make you buy the Z390 now
for official support,
and they'll probably release another Z490 next year. Who knows? Like, and still keep you on the same 9th gen processor. I don't know. So I'm not a huge fan of Intel at the moment, but it is there. So most probably we'll probably have these processors in stock by next month.
Probably by next month. Well, Intel is.
If we get our hands,
we're still recovering from the Intel processor shortage.
It's increasing. We started getting our hands on more processors, so things are alleviating a bit, which they did tell us will happen in January.
So the actual new processors that we got is like all of these processors. Usually Intel, they come with the integrated graphics. So they released a F series, which doesn't come with integrated graphics. So these are they seem similar in every way in terms of spec, clock speeds, everything. Even the TDP wise, they're the same as their non-F equivalents. They're expected to be cheaper?
Well, logic would say it would be cheaper, but Intel hasn't really said anything. Knowing Intel, they could just make it more expensive and be like,
pay for the privilege of not
having onboard graphics. But,
and they market it that way, like don't be burdened by onboard graphics. Pay extra.
So, hopefully it's cheaper though. I don't think it'll be a lot cheaper, but I think at the end of the day, even if it's $20, it's about $3 to $4.
$20 seems like the right amount.
So if you could save like 3 to 4K on your i5 processor,
$20 is no longer 3 to 4. It's
close to
at least $4,000.
So it's closer towards it's a welcome saving because a lot of you are going to be buying these processors and you're never going to need onboard graphics.
Yeah, if you're getting a graphics card, maybe put that 4,000 onto a graphics card.
Yeah, so, and who knows? Maybe the savings might be more on their higher end processors. I hope, but probably not. It might be $30-$40 across the board. I don't think it'll be 40. It'll probably be about $20.
Probably 20. I'm thinking 20.
Yeah.
So sticking with Intel, Intel also announced the next generation of Optane memory.
Yes, so they are calling this. I think they have the new models. They had an M series name for the refreshes of the current lineup. I can't remember. I think it was M17.
So the new Optane memory H10 models. These are essentially like a combined. You take like the existing Optane and you pair it with like a larger capacity QLC drive and put it in one package.
Yes.
So
100% sure what they hope to achieve with that.
So it's a Optane accelerated SSD.
Yes.
In one package.
So I get it that QLC isn't very durable, but then what does Optane bring? Optane is extremely durable. So maybe they hope to increase the lifespan.
It's supposed to be okay. It's supposed to be at least. It says it's supposed to have better endurance than a QLC SSD. So,
for the most part, if you're a guy who needs a durable SSD, you're probably not going to buy a QLC drive, right?
True.
And if you're buying a QLC drive, I mean, all I'm saying is if you're going to do work, you're probably going to want like an enterprise drive or a workstation drive with a high durability.
And
And if you are just like regular games and
let's
media,
say for you and me, a QLC
QLC
would
be
be
fine.
fine.
So I don't know, like Intel keep doing this with Optane, they keep putting it into like these little crevices.
It's like a very small niche where I don't know who's going to use it. In theory, it's a great product. You get like a 1 TB QLC with accelerated by 32 gig.
Yeah, we don't know the prices yet though.
Yeah.
It could be pretty pricey. I mean, Optane by itself is a pretty cool technology. So
technology is awesome. We just
and
can't
even
see where it.
Yeah, I don't know what, but it's happening. So the H10 is coming, and you're going to see Optane.
It's a thing.
It's
Get used to it.
Maybe they are looking to put this into laptops. Because what I know is that the H10
Yes.
drives come on one single M.2 card.
Yes, so that could be.
Yeah, so they're going to be having that 1 TB of QLC. Again, just put a QLC drive in it. Like make it a QLC M.2. Why put an Optane drive in there?
Maybe if it's.
Maybe you can accelerate another hard drive on the laptop while you. I don't know. This is getting super complicated. Anyway, Intel have some kind of convoluted plan for this. So
Like the only thing I could think of is like QLC is fairly cheap.
it is.
And something with we need to see how high the endurance on this is. Say something with decent endurance with the same capacity. Right now, it actually costs about double.
But if you're somebody who needed endurance on their drive, wouldn't you rather spend double on an SSD rather than going for a cheap SSD with like a caching drive?
In between option.
Yeah. So as you know,
like I'm just thinking of the pricing right now. Say a QLC 500 gig drive is about
20.
around 20,
Yeah.
2022 say, and something with better, say a 970 Evo costs about 40. So
Okay.
it's almost double. So
Yeah.
there is enough of a price gap to fit something in between. But if it makes sense or not, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's not for us to decide, that's for you consumers to decide. Funny thing is, they also did release a couple of things which actually aren't on this brief. They released standalone SSDs. They released a 60 GB and 120, which they're dubbing a 58 and 118. It's belongs to them. They're 800p. Yes, it's there. So these are Optane powered standalone SSDs. So it's interesting that it's coming in 60 and 120. I'm not really sure what they're trying to accomplish with that, but maybe it's because it's expensive to put out big SSDs. So if you want an extremely reliable but small capacity SSDs, which is also expensive, go with an Optane. Again, Intel doing what they do best and confusing.
Who would want
people.
like a 60 gig SSD?
I don't know. And it's not even a caching drive. That's the funny thing, that they've made it very clear it can't be used as a caching drive. It's a standalone SSD. Magic T.
It magically appeared. Alright, so moving on, staying with Intel itself, Intel had already, this was announced earlier, right? The 28 core. Alright, so wait, did the price come recently? Or?
No, it's like this. Technically, there is no price yet. So
Right.
all of you might have heard about this. But when you say all of you, we expect you
Okay,
to
there
be like nerds.
there is an Intel 28 core
Which I think you
Xeon
mentioned
processor
before, yeah.
called W-3175X.
So they gave it a name. So now this was the rumored one that they were showing at
Showing at
Computex last year.
Computex running at 5 GHz. Yeah.
On liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
So apparently, not apparently, I mean, this is obviously one of their server grade parts that they are trying to bring to a workstation platform. So now they've given it a name. It's part of their Xeon W series. As you know, their Xeon W are currently more or less Xeon versions of their Core i9s. So
And it could cost anywhere between
$4,000
$4,000
to
to $8,000. So it's
I think at even $4,000, first of all, the processor is not running at 5 gigahertz because you're not going to be running liquid nitrogen. It'll most probably run at between 3 to maybe 4 gigahertz, 4.5 maybe on a few threads. So I think even at $4,000 compared to AMD's 32 core, it's still pretty weak, even though you know that it'll probably be faster because Intel generally have better IPC. But at twice the price, you could get two AMD systems. So little iffy on that, but there is also a rumor, but that it might even be $8,000. At $8,000, I think it's just a horrible deal. There is a 28 and a 24 core, so I don't know what the pricing on the 24 is going to be. And Intel have not announced anything, so this is just a rumor.
yeah. So Asus announced a motherboard to go along with this.
Yeah.
So it features a brand new chipset X599 because AMD is going to move
Yes.
on the chipset models.
Yeah.
And it's called the Dominus Extreme. So
There were some leaks about this online. You might have seen pictures of it. It's an absolute beast of a motherboard. It is a ROG motherboard, but really for all intents and purposes, it's a server motherboard with overclockability and some heavy VRMs and just a lot of everything really. So
it has like a ton of storage support. They have this
32 RAM slots. Is it 12?
12 RAM
32.
slots.
That would be nice.
And they have this ROG DIMM
For the
M.2,
M.2s.
M.2.
Yes. So the ROG DIMMs, we've seen it on the Maximus 10. What's that overclocking board that they have? The one with 2 RAM slots. Apex. So on their Apex series, they have this M.2 port. So it's essentially a RAM slot next to the RAM. It's not a RAM slot. It's a slot next to the RAM,
like
slots,
slot
which can benefit from some of those RAM coolers that you guys have. And it's essentially a card on which you can install 1 or 2 M.2 cards, which is pretty cool.
On top of that, it has 4 more M.2 slots. What is a U.2 slot?
What? Seriously?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know that it exists, but I really don't know.
So a U.2 slot is essentially a form factor. Actually, this is funny thing. Like U2 came actually on, I think, the 6th and 7th gen motherboards, right?
Okay.
So this was at the beginning. This was essentially, remember when M.2 was just starting to get put on motherboards? Most of the big motherboards had both an M.2 and a U.2 connector. So U.2 is a way of connecting an NVMe drive to your PC without a Razer or a card. Okay, so long story short. Okay, so the NVMe card, it's like this. The NVMe cards cannot be connected. It's that it gave a connector to the manufacturers. So they could take, say, their NVMe drives, and they could essentially make a 2.5-inch SATA drive out of them. And they could connect it to the motherboard without having to sacrifice putting it through a Razer or like an add-on card. So as you know, it is a little convoluted. I think only Intel ever made one of these SSDs, and it really never caught on. And by the 7th and 8th gen, motherboard manufacturers just stopped putting it. I think 1 or 2 high-end boards have it. That's about it.
Yeah, but if you want,
it's there. So I think there's literally, I think, one SSD that can be like an Intel SSD that can be connected. But it's kind of a cool slot that it has a very high bandwidth.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like Thunderbolt, but not Thunderbolt. So you don't have to give up your Thunderbolt port to connect this. It's cool.
Right, so this motherboard with all of these features is rumored to cost $1,500.
Fair enough. I mean, if your processor is $8,000, I feel like an extra $1,500 on the motherboard. Really,
it's
at this
just
point,
$1,500.
I read somewhere. This is the funniest thing. I read somewhere that they were. This is fun. Like, I'm calling them out. Like Verge had written an article about this processor, right? And they were talking about how this would give traders who earn up to like thousands of dollars a day trading that extra advantage in like their. Like you could go on to Verge right now. Like they have this Verge.
Let's see if we can.
Let's not. Yeah, like.
It's okay, we can call people out.
Yeah, because whatever. But a complete bunch of morons when it comes to computer technology. Like they did like an assembly video. Like,
I remember that.
We're not even gonna get into that. But yeah, so don't worry. Like this is my problem with this motherboard and processor, right? If it's priced at $4,000, still a stretch. But knowing Intel, it is expensive. It's not that Intel wants to get more money from you. It is extremely expensive for Intel to make it because this same processor, without the overclockability, exists right now in Intel's Xeon Platinum line, which is their server processor line, and it currently costs about $10,000 per processor. So you know that it's already, so they're trying to cut that down to a consumer market. So 4 is not impossible. Like they could price it at $4,000. Not horrible at that price,
I guess.
For someone who's already capable of buying a $2,000 processor.
Yeah.
4 may not be a big stretch if you want the fastest Intel processor with all of the goodness that Intel brings. And as you can see, the motherboard and the socket is not shared. By the way, the socket is a I can't remember the pin configuration, but it's not an X299 socket, and it's not a server socket.
Chipset X599.
It's a completely new socket, I think.
Is that a chipset or are they just calling it X599?
It's X599, but the socket's also different.
Okay.
So this now you know that the Xeon Ws right now are currently, if I'm not mistaken, the same socket as the Core i9.
They are.
But they just don't go on the Core i9 motherboards, right?
Yeah. Chipset is.
Yeah, but this is actually a completely different pin configuration to the current Xeon W processors. So it doesn't even share the same pin configuration. It's a bigger processor.
Future.
It's So and you know Intel's just putting this out as look, AMD
We
has
also
the
can do
performance
this,
crown. We also have 28 cores, which in my opinion is kind of a waste of money, because even if I was someone who could drop $5,500 on just my processor and my if I'm a corporate and I'm blowing 10 grand, 20 grand on a server, it makes sense because my company earns thousands or millions of dollars, and that's not a big investment for me because that's just what you expect from a high-end server. Now that's the only place where literally thousands upon thousands of dollars makes sense. Now if you're in the productivity area and you edit video or you do production, you're still going to want to recover your investment, right?
True.
You're still going to want to build a machine, but at the same time get value for money on it. This is where you would compare this to, say, maybe a 32 core, maybe AMD system, and you'd build the entire system for $5,000. Actually, is it five? Will it go to 5? Maybe about 3 to 4,000. It could go to 5 with a 2080 Ti and lots of RAM, and it could go.
Yeah, it could go up to
about 5,000. So say 5K gets you this ridiculously over the top system, right?
Yeah.
We
recently built one for like 1.1.
True.
Ti and like a
yes.
2998,
So if this machine with the exact same config or similar config would probably set you back at least $10,000, between $7,000 to $8,000. So that's an extra $3,000 to $4,000, which first of all I'm not pretty
sure. Bought another PC.
Yeah, you're not even going to get the performance. You could put that into a red or a Blackmagic camera.
Yeah, true.
You could put that into so many different things. And so even to an enthusiast, I feel like Intel's really going, okay, there's this one motherboard that you can only put one processor on, which you already know once 10 nanometer comes out is going to be obsolete. Kind of grasping at straws, it's kind of a no-go for me. Like I would never sell that to a customer. Some of you may ask for it.
But if you want it,
we'll get it down for you.
Get it down.
But I feel it's just a complete waste of money. It is what it is. But it exists, and Asus did announce the motherboard, and I heard Gigabyte was also working on an Aorus board or something of that sorts.
Yeah, expensive motherboard.
Expensive, $1,500. So $1,500 is like 3 lakhs on a motherboard. Let that sink in for a second. 3 lakhs on a motherboard. And please don't try to buy this for gaming. This is only if you were that.
Of course.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you're not even looking at a server environment where you need 128 or 256 or 1 TB of RAM. This is like a consumer space. You're trying to build a video editing or a 3D modeling PC that needs 12 DIMM slots and it needs 4 L.2 ports maybe. But
this just seems like.
It just seems like just a waste of money. On tech that you know is going to be obsolete in a year. So that's just me.
It's not like a server, it's like a 5 or 6
investment. Yeah. Exactly. The other good thing about servers is like it always blows my mind that companies spend up to $10,000 on a processor.
Yeah.
But they have huge life cycles, like 5 years, 7 years. And you know this company has earned literally 10 times, 100 times the value in terms of productivity, right? They're running their backbone, their databases, and so these multi-million-dollar companies, for them, what, $100,000 on their server, not a big deal.
Update. And that's like what, every 5-6 years,
yes.
That's fine.
So here they're trying to aim at you as an individual or a small company, and it's not a great investment. It's not scalable. What are you guys doing? But it is what it is.
We'll see. Maybe they plan to flesh this platform out. I don't know.
We'll see. But right now, only the 2824 core is available on it. Saw the motherboard, and it's coming out soon. And we'll see benchmarks. Benchmarks will be out soon.
We'll see. It's a Q1 release date, so latest.
We'll see how much faster than a 32 core AMD it is.
We'll see.
If at all.
Alright. So moving on to currently my favorite company, Nvidia. No, I still. They released a bunch of, essentially they released all their RTX cards, the 20 series cards, on the mobile platform. So you get laptops with RTX 2080, no 2080 Ti's, 2080, 2070 and 2060, the latest card. We have another video coming up with like a full rundown on the 2060. So that will come out after this. So all these cards are now available with laptops. So pretty much all the major laptop manufacturers put out multiple laptops with all of these cards. So we'll have a laptop roundup also coming up later. So you want to get that in here. So not just the high ends, they had one low end chipset also listed, the MX250.
What is that, by the way? Is it a 280?
We don't know.
Okay, so they haven't told us what it's based on.
Yes. So it's just, I think, who is this? HP had listed it in a spec. It's not officially announced yet, but it's like a thing. People know that it's coming. The big announcement from Nvidia, and the one that I'm most excited about, and is the new G-Sync compatibility list. So they split G-Sync into, I think, 3 different tiers. So they have the G-Sync Ultimate, which will they put some criteria. I think one of them was that it can go from 1 Hertz to like whatever maximum, right? So the full range should be G-Sync compatible. Then you have the middle tier, which is right now what you have, the standard G-Sync with the G-Sync module. And then the next tier is the G-Sync compatible. So you get pretty much the same. They hadn't listed any drawbacks of this. So I'm assuming you get the same experience. G-Sync, essentially variable refresh rate over the DisplayPort standard. And so essentially this is FreeSync or adaptive sync as it's called. So certain monitors which come with FreeSync are now compatible with G-Sync Nvidia graphics cards.
So that means some of the monitors we have in stock right now that you have only been able to make use of in terms of FreeSync with AMD cards can now be used with Nvidia cards. So as an example, we have say our Acer 25 and 27-inch.
25 is not compatible.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the monitors we have. Right? So those are two FreeSync compatible monitors. We have the ViewSonic XG. So right now, Nvidia has put out a list of about 10 to 15 monitors.
Yeah, so Nvidia has gone through, I think they have tested 400 monitors, and out of that, they have released like a list of 12 monitors.
So these are compatible on the lowest, as the lowest, this thing is this adaptive sync compatible, is it?
Adaptive sync.
Or the second tier?
No, these are compatible.
Okay.
Yes. So they released 12 monitors, out of which I think we have one monitor that we regularly stock, the Acer XG270H. I personally have one, therefore I'm very happy.
it's only about 75,000,
Yeah.
and Kushan is using that with a 980 Ti right now. So he'll be
yeah.
happy. Because if any of you have used FreeSync with a Radeon card or G-Sync with an Nvidia card, you know that there's a huge it's a quality of life improvement.
Yeah, it's not just people assume like, okay, this is the V-Sync tearing. It's not. It improves like perceived smoothness.
It does.
That is a big deal, right? Like say for example on my monitor right now, a new game, say Assassin's Creed Origins, I get about 50 FPS. It's not bad, but I'd like to have like 70 FPS, right? So if I have G-Sync and it kicks in and it starts syncing, I will get a perceived effect of about 70 FPS, which is huge. So essentially for free, I'm getting performance upgrade.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's not about the numbers. We try to make it not about the numbers. It's about the experience. And if like Kushan can attest to it firsthand, and we had the Predator at our store for the longest time, and we can attest that any of the high-end games that are a little demanding, that are not exactly getting you 60 FPS on most games, and it's dropping below between 40, 50, the sync just completely makes it seem like your game's running at above 60, and that's a huge difference. If any of you play like first-person shooter games, you will know that there is clearly a difference between 40, 60, and then 80 and 100.
So essentially, for now they've released these 12 monitors that they know that's compatible. I'm
sure
it hasn't stopped there though. So essentially, this is software thing. So they will try to improve their adaptive sync compatibility through their drivers over time. So you'll get more monitors being added to this list. On top of that, what they've done is they've released a small utility for 10 series and 20 series graphics cards where you can download it yourself. If you already have a FreeSync compatible monitor, you can try your card with that. So there's a results may vary. You might get flickering, you might get like lines blurry, that's all of that. But you can still try.
Okay, so that's a huge step forward, because obviously until now the issue was that if you bought an Nvidia card, you had to buy a G-Sync monitor. And G-Sync monitors, not only is the selection limited, it's also extremely expensive generally to buy. Generally, G-Sync monitors start at about 100K and above for even a 24-inch.
Yes,
so because Nvidia, obviously, because it adds like what, $200, $300, they didn't put it to low-end monitors. So, but beauty of FreeSync is it's free, it's open standard, it's for any monitor that has a DisplayPort 1.2 or above.
Yeah,
right?
1.3,
whatever. The new DisplayPort 1.4 or above, all of it supports FreeSync natively. So now whether you don't have to worry about an AMD card or an Nvidia card, hopefully most of the new FreeSync gaming monitors, high refresh rate monitors will have it built in, and they'll just support
Nvidia is pretty good with their driver game, so you can expect. This is like the testing limitation was not exactly a hardware limitation. So these 12 monitors that were certified weren't necessarily because the monitors were great in some way. They're just right now what work with their drivers, right? So I think that's what they've said.
Okay,
so that's what
huge.
They haven't outright said it, like our drivers suck, therefore these don't work. But that's what a lot of people are saying, and that's what they had implied.
Were there any monitors in the range of, I don't know, under 40, 50,000 on that list? Or was everything
there were a couple of, I think, 24. There was an Aegon 24-inch monitor.
That's an expensive monitor.
Was it?
Okay. Aegons generally tend to be a little expensive,
yes.
About $300.
Yeah, so a bunch of Asus monitors, those were
anything, it was like a full HD 140 Hz, nothing. So
I think the Acer one is the cheapest.
Okay, so now
that's a great price.
Still though, like say 75 gets you the Acer. Keep in mind that a 27-inch 2K G-Sync panel, the cheapest we got our hands on was like 140, 150. So this is literally half that.
Half that, you're getting pretty much the same experience.
So this is killer news, and I'm glad Nvidia finally gave in to an open standard.
It's an open standard. Like all they had to do was just enable it in the drivers all this while,
which they've done now, and they're making it seem like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But thanks
It
Nvidia
is a
for
big
eventually
deal.
coming around.
Thank you for finally giving this.
Yes. So just to touch on the early RTX we were talking about regarding the laptop cards.
Yeah.
We did mention this in a video before.
Sweet.
In a leak though, and we were a little. I was a little skeptical about a 2080. There was a leak about a 2080 Ti coming, but apparently that was a false
20 Ti is a
benchmark.
false.
But the fact that you're getting a 1080 Ti of 10% or maybe roughly about faster level of performance in a laptop right now, and like Kushan said, that it's available on a lot of high-end thin laptops, like the Max-Q versions. They're on like
Max
the Zephyrus's.
slightly slower though, right?
They're lower clock speeds, but the same number of cores. So on like everything from the Acer Predators to the Razer's replacing
The entire lineup.
yeah, with RTX cards. You got them on the Zephyrus lineup, Aorus laptops,
Yeah,
pretty
you
much
probably
across the
get
board.
the,
Or the MSI Gaming
SLDs.
on the high-end ones. So all of these are now coming with like the new i9-89 series processors and RTX cards. So RTX is bringing ray tracing to laptops, which is a big deal, I guess. Because now it's a whole new market to bring up ray tracing to, and hopefully game developers will start.
Hopefully, see more games in the next
Hopefully.
months.
I
I think they're working, like Nvidia is pushing Anthem, so that might have something. I don't know.
Okay. I'm just thinking a thin laptop, even with a 2080 Max-Q, but giving me between 1080 Ti desktop level performance in a thin laptop.
That's killer.
Crazy.
That's
Crazy. And if you couple that with like a 60Hz 4K screen, a truly 4K capable gaming laptop, right?
It won't be cheap. So.
It won't, true. These laptops are probably going to be $2,500-$3,000 starting. But hey, if you got deep pockets and you really love your mobile gaming,
You're looking at like a 700k laptop.
yeah, but I mean, I know some of you out there have spent 750k on a laptop.
True.
And
We sold a
maybe
few.
this might give us a reason to. I don't think we sold you a 700k
I
laptop.
think we sold one.
A 700k laptop?
600 something.
Did we?
I think.
Okay. Because we try to give you guys value for money, so we're not huge fans of spending so much money on a desktop, not on a desktop, because desktops are upgradable and laptops aren't. But hey, some of you really like having a high-end laptop, so yeah, this might be that reason too. 4K gaming,
exactly.
get an RTX 2080 or a 2070 and call it a day.
So to wrap up, we have one more announcement on the first couple of days that we found kind of interesting. So Razer, if you guys know, they introduced something called HyperSense, I think about a year ago.
I have not heard of this, so
Okay,
this is
so-
the first time I'm hearing about it.
So this is essentially feedback from your peripherals.
Okay.
Right, so like say something, you shoot someone, very basically you shoot someone your mouse vibrates.
Okay.
It's essentially feedback, just like you get touch feedback on your phone.
Okay.
So they've created this into like a haptic feedback ecosystem.
Alright.
So now what they're saying is you'll get tactile feedback on your mouse, on your what's this, whatever. Okay, so your palm rest on your keyboard. So this goes on your headphone and your chair.
Okay.
So if you
Is
have,
it their own chair?
I think so. I don't.
Because I don't know any chairs that have haptic feedback right now. But
So,
hey,
I'm
it's going to be
pretty
there at some point.
Yes, we'll have details here. So we'll have, if there's a video of this, we'll have it linked so you guys can see. So essentially, what this offers is it's just not just feedback itself. It'll vibrate for the sake of vibrating, right? So what they're saying is this is going to add an additional dimension to your gameplay. So if someone is shooting you from the left, if you get shot from the left, like your left side would vibrate. It's going to go to that level.
This is my problem. Like this is cool in theory,
Okay.
but this is my problem in practice. Like if I was getting shot from the left in a game, it doesn't change the fact that I don't get to turn left and shoot him, right? Like if I was in VR and I was walking around,
True.
haptic makes perfect sense, right? I get shot on the left, I turn to the left, I shoot the dude. But now or a girl, I don't know, I can get killed by a girl, it's fine. I don't discriminate. If you're good, right? So anyway, if I'm playing on a PC and I get shot on the left, like I'm still going to have to look at the screen and shoot. Except I'm going to have to turn to the left on the screen and shoot the guy who shot me. It's going to be very jarring. And my other problem is that when you're under fire in like a first person, whether it's a single player or like a multiplayer game, you don't want your mouse and keyboard rattling and stopping you from turning and shooting the dude, right? It's literally shooting yourself in the foot. You're literally playing with a handicap against the next dude who's literally got no feedback going, yeah, why stop hitting yourself? Like, like what are you doing? So I feel like this is very gimmicky. I would definitely not use this myself.
I'd want to try it.
I don't think it'll be practical at all. Not at all. Purely because they're using this with the keyboard and mouse. Like, you're going to be with the headset, keyboard and mouse, palm rest, and the chair. And it's literally going to be giving you feedback only for the game that you are literally viewing on the screen, nothing around you. So that's a problem. Like, I know that haptic feedback on VR is huge, and I've been following these projects on Kickstarter. They are amazing. They're going to reinvent the way we play games. This is not it though. This is very gimmicky. I mean, if it's available, I'd try it out, but I know for a fact that I'll be super confused. Like, if I get shot in the back, my instinct is going to be to turn around. And so not only that, like, I'm playing a first person shooter, like Overwatch or CS or something. I'm trying to shoot a dude, right? And I get shot in the back by some dude in the corner. And not only is my instinct to turn around, which is already screwed up my ability to kill him, I'm also literally like trying to shoot him with vibrating mouse and keyboard. Like literally, I'm I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable this would be. So impractical. Typical Razer though. Like, leave it to Razer to do something over the top like this. But if you're a dude who doesn't like multiplayer games and you don't really care about frags and you want to get really immersed into something like maybe Far Cry or something, still would be really. Imagine trying like a rattling mouse trying to shoot a dude who's like AK-47 you in the face, like. I don't know.
VR is also moving forward, so HTC had their
a lo-fi version of this is just getting someone to hit you while you play the game. Like, I couldn't find someone to pay you. You pay them, they just hit you with something while you're playing the game, on cue, like whatever.
Alright, so speaking of VR, HTC put out a newer version of their Vive headset. It's called the Vive Cosmos. So the interesting part of this is I think it allows for more immersion because you don't need to necessarily set up sensors and stuff. So it doesn't rely on external sensors. So it's essentially a gaze tracking technology.
Okay. So does it still track your environment?
It does, but you like the from what I read, it tracks your in-game world or whatever environment based on your gaze. So it tracks your eyes. So if you look this way, it goes that way.
So I heard that there was actually a demo booth at CES where they actually had this running on their Vive Pro with the Tobii eye tracking. So essentially, they weren't using it for a game though. They were more. It was more like for
games
business use. Yeah. Like, I think they were, but apparently it was pretty cool. Like, you could put. It was a little buggy, but you could put the headset on and you could essentially just move your eyes around inside the headset and scroll up and down, like move a mouse cursor and stuff. So interesting. So how does this become useful? Like, if
first of all, like, it removes the requirement. Like, we had a Vive, right? And first thing is it's one less point of failure because we couldn't use our Vive because one of the sensors were buggy. It wasn't working properly.
So is this replacing the room sensors or is it not?
Yes, it doesn't have room sensors.
Yes, but does it also have the functionality the room sensors brought in the ability to see the ends?
No.
I hope that's because that's what set the Vive apart from the Oculus, right?
Yes, exactly.
That you could.
So essentially, and it can be operated in a smaller space. So the room sensors needed like a 10 by 10 area. You couldn't really use it in like a smaller space.
Okay.
So this solves that issue also. So not a lot of details on this, and there are no games obviously supporting this yet. It's the eye tracking system. So we'll need to see where that goes.
I guess it's more immersion. I mean, being able to turn your head inside a virtual world and also being able to look around by just like moving your eyes around. It could be more realistic if the
Razer thing.
Yeah, vibrating in your back. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think what they're trying to do is, obviously no one's found that magic formula yet, which gets people to.
It's actually good because people are just trying different things.
Yeah.
Even Razer, for all its impracticality, they're still trying something to make things more immersive.
Yeah. So I think everyone's waiting on that unicorn, like that one massive game or that one massive piece of technology that just makes it accessible and just works. Yeah, where the locomotion works and the tracking works and it's light enough. And when that happens, hopefully, VR will become the new thing and it won't go the way 3D went. because I really want VR
I think
to be
it's
a
already
thing.
bigger than like what 3D was.
True. I mean, but the problem is like it's been, let's be honest, like how long has it been since the first Oculus? Like 3 years, 4 years, right? And so it's a lot of time, a lot of money sunk in by big companies, and so the fact that they are still unable to get a lot of traction outside of mobile phones, not very promising, but at the same time
That's good.
The potential is
Yeah, still good work
like,
being done.
as a gamer, I mean, both of us are gamers. As a gamer, I can tell you that if I was able to walk around in
Did not see
3D
Sabine
space,
again.
you'll never see me again. I'll just be inside my room
Sabine like emerges from like this thing with like two large circles around his face.
every 2 weeks, like, you know. But I would definitely, that would get, like, for example, for someone who doesn't have much time for gaming, that would make me get back into games. Because can you imagine being able to say, like, play PUBG and actually walk around, walk up like hills, you know, actually be carrying a gun and being able to walk in 3D space? I'm waiting for that killer time.
Yeah. Like your wife would be like showing the kid like that's what your dad looks like.
But it'll be great though. It'll be great. I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, call me like, you know, a dreamer, but I hope that we like this whole looking at a laptop screen and desktop screen.
We're not that old. We'll probably see it in our lifetime.
You don't know, Kushan. Nothing's promised to you. You could die tomorrow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope I'm around when like VR becomes a thing.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this episode. So that's mostly the first 2 days of CES. So a couple of days later, we'll probably have another round up.
Yeah, I think the very next video is going to be about AMD's CES keynote,
so we are
which is going to happen
that.
today. You don't know what time this is, but it's happening today. And
that we're super looking forward to. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So don't miss out on all these videos. So subscribe here. Make sure you click on that. Make sure you click on the bell button so that you have.
Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and share it if you want to get this out to more people. We'll be
And,
coming
and please let us know what you think of everything we discussed and what you think of our show.
Yes, please leave some comments. We want to have a conversation with you guys as always.
Right. So
Yeah. Till the next video then. Peace. Ding.